Hey guys, a little different video today. I'm going to go over some micro drone building basics, and nowadays it's going to be a lot easier to build your micro drone because you don't have to fiddle with a lot of different parts. And the main reason is these new little stacks that are coming out that cover basically 4-in-1 ESC, which is this bottom plate here, or this bottom board, and then you got this top board here, which is your flight controller. And putting these together with basically motors and an FPV camera setup, and basically have a drone. So let me just go over what you need. Really, basically you just need some sort of a frame. This happens to be the AirBlade bolt. I'll have a separate flight video for this frame later after I build this. You need some motors. These are some 1106 prototype motors that I'm experimenting with. Can't really tell you any details about that yet. You need an FPV setup. So in this case, I've got a little, this comes with the bolt. It's a camera mount, a TPU camera mount, and you get this here on the right is the Eachine TX02. That fits in there nicely, and then that'll actually mount on top of the electronic stack. And then you need a receiver, and that's basically what I need. Obviously you need a battery as well and propellers, but these are the basic parts. Gonna go over the building of this very quickly. It's actually doesn't require a lot of explanation, but I'll just explain after I build each section. You're going to basically mount the flight controller onto the frame, mount your motors, and then put your FPV system on top, and those are the basics. So go ahead and I'll start building this up, and then I'll stop along the way and show you what I did. Okay, so here is the flight controller ESC combo and motors mounted to the frame. It's pretty easy to do. You just have to use the nylon standoffs that are included here. You just have to cut the motor wires off and solder them onto the appropriate ESC. They're all numbered here. You can see this one here is number 1, and there's a little 2 there. And it's kind of why I kind of like this combo board. All of the little pads here are all labeled. Very nice, and so they're not like these little pinholes or these little solder pads. So it'll make them a lot easier to solder to, and it's pretty there's not much really here to explain. I put a little XT30 plug here for my battery, and I soldered on 4 motors to the ESCs. There's no wires or any connectors between the flight controller board and the 4-in-1 ESC combo. This board is connected to the bottom through a pin connector here in the middle. You can see right there. So it's a very clean setup. There's no wires on the outside. So like on some of these, it's kind of funny. I was gonna say previous generation, as if these were old. This is like a week older than this one, and this is the one from GearBest. And you got these you have micro connectors on each board. You have a micro connector on the flight controller and a micro connector here on the 4-in-1 ESC, and you get these wires and cables that go between them. But you can see that they protrude out a little bit, and I think this is kind of the way to go, where you don't have any of those connectors in the way. Less points of failure. And the reason I'm using this particular combo and this frame is that it's like an 88mm or 90mm frame, but it's able to swing 2.5-inch props, and the props are going to be very, very close to the flight controller, so you don't want anything protruding out of the sides. So something like this would be pretty useful for that. There's not much left in this build, really. Like I said, these builds are getting easier. Just got to put on my receiver pigtail here, and then I have another pigtail here for the camera, and I'm going to then mount the camera on top of the flight controller with a little included camera mount, and then plug it in, and then plug in my receiver, and probably gonna just stick it on the side of the camera here like this, and that ought to do it. So I'll be right back with that. Okay, so here it is all completely assembled. I've mounted the little camera pod here with these 4 nuts on top of the flight controller. And you probably should add another standoff here, just raise it up and then put the receiver underneath the little pod here, but I decided to make it a little bit lower profile and stick the receiver on the back of the camera pod here just with some double-sided foam tape. This is the FS82, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You just have to, I just put a little, put these little couple of these little pigtails here. There's a little one for the all-in-one camera. That's just 5 volts in ground, and that's a two-pin connector, and then I got a little 3-pin connector for the receiver that goes to the board. That's a little underneath the board right there, and then you got power over here for the camera. See if I can get that to focus right there. And then I just have this is a Rotorex 2535 prop here, just to show you how close it is to the side of the board. So it actually even goes over the little contact points for the ESC wires, but it's not in any danger of hitting that. There's enough clearance there that it should be pretty safe for these 2.5-inch props. But like I said before, in some of these other all-in-one combos for the flight controller and ESC combos, if they've got these wires sitting out the side, like on, for example, here, if that's sticking out right there, then there's a chance that the prop might cut that. So that's kind of why I like this one. This is from, what is this? This is from HGLRC. The board itself is pretty basic. It's just a Pico BLX target, no OSD, and the ESCs are 25 amp BLHeli ESCs, running the BB2 chip, 48 megahertz, and they can burst up to 30 amps. So this is a pretty good setup for these 2S and 3S micros. So this is going to conclude the micro drone building tutorial. Pretty easy to do with these all-in-one combos. As you can see in this video, there's really not much to it, and also eliminates a lot of extra soldering, a lot of extra wires. I really like the way that how clean this turned out. There's a look at the bottom. Looking forward to flying this. I'll have another video. Look out for this. Is the AirBlade bolt, and I'll have a video with flight footage in that video. So stay tuned for that. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.